I'm Alan Doering. I work for the Agricultural Utilization Research Institute. That's why it's a long name, so we also go by AURI. What I do at AURI, I'm actually a senior scientist focused on co-products. So that is my title. I manage the co-product pilot lab here in Waseca, Minnesota, where we're located. And then I'm also one of the co-leads for the co-product focus team. And AURI works in a wide gamut of areas, that include food, renewable energy, bio-based materials, and then co-products. I help in a variety of those areas, but my focus is obviously the co-products, as you can tell by my title. And one of the things I'd like to share before we even start is a lot of people say, what is a co-product? And oftentimes you've heard of the term byproducts. We don't like the term waste products because our job is to move a lower value product up the value chain. So the best example I can give of a co-product is it is a secondary product that is produced after the primary one. So when you make ethanol from corn, ethanol is the primary product. Dried distiller grains, which is a highly nutritious, high protein feed product, that's actually the co-product. When you make biodiesel from soybean oil or different vegetable oils, the biodiesel is actually the primary product, but you have glycerin as a co-product. Our job here, our role here, is to really add value to agriculture. So how do you continue to increase the value of an agricultural commodity? And here's what people like about my job. Number one, I work in a pilot lab. So oftentimes when you hear the word lab, you think of the white coats and the test tubes, and you are correct. I mean, we do have analytical labs, but the pilot lab that I work in is obviously quite different from that. If you'd walk into the two labs that I operate in, you'll see pellet mills, you'll see hammer mills, you'll see dewatering equipment. There's dryers in the lab. One of the new pieces of equipment we added was a fiber decorticator, and that's where you run hemp fiber or flax straw through it to actually break the strands into long fiber pieces to be used for woven material. So a pilot lab is where companies come to actually see how do you produce a product, how do you scale it up, what equipment is needed, and that's what makes my job so enjoyable. Every day is different. The reason I chose the career in agriculture is, number one, I did grow up on a farm, corn, soybeans, alfalfa, livestock, but I've always been around agriculture. And I guess that is my passion. That is something I love. And working in it, I can go to work every day, not necessarily sitting in a cubicle or working directly in a lab. I'm always doing something different every day. In agriculture, is, like I said, always been a core to what I've done. And the various roles that I've held, you may not always start out exactly in the career that you're going to end up in. I went to school at South Dakota State University. I majored in agricultural extension and animal science. And the reason I chose agricultural extension is because of the wide diversity of subjects that I was exposed to. So number one, I did have a lot of education focused on livestock nutrition, livestock research, anatomy, meats, but you also were exposed to plant genetics, entomology. And the one thing I need to share, I took a variety of biology classes, chemistry classes, and I can say I did not like my organic chemistry class. And look where I'm at now. I'm working in agricultural research. But as you move forward, be open to change and pursue a career that you enjoy. And what I enjoy the most is it's working with a variety of clients and just the variety and change that we experience every day. So none of my days are the same. One day you'll be working with a client in the lab. The next day you may be at a meeting talking about a new technology to a team of food processors or product development people. It's just always changing. The advice that I'd give to somebody thinking about a career in this field is if you have a passion for agriculture or a passion for science or a passion for research, just go for it. In the field of agriculture, there are so many jobs. And the one thing I share with younger people is don't think that you have to have grown up on a farm or been involved in farming to be a part of agriculture. You know, the coworkers that I work with that are supporting agriculture, they may have a food background. I mean, food is huge and that is a growing industry. So that has nothing to do with growing the crops or growing the animal. It's developing new food products, developing the labels that need to go on the food products before they go into the retail shelf. So you have the whole food sector. You have engineers working with various companies, whether it's developing a new process to remove. A good friend of mine went to work for Campbell's and he was an engineer. His first duty was how do you more efficiently remove the corn from the cob for corn as a food product. The one last thing I'd like to add, you know, as I talked about a little bit what I do in my role, and it is with product development or process development. So a few examples of the work that we do, and I think this makes it a lot more clear. Number one, we worked with a company that had worked on a product for 2 years to develop it. It was a feed supplement, that was hard for them to develop. And we actually have a sample of it here. What it looks like is it's a 2 millimeter pellet. And it's a protein pellet that they will actually encapsulate. And it kind of think of a M&M. So that's one example of our role, helping them to develop how do we make this product successfully. Another one was with a company that was producing a corn that was purple or that had a red color to it. How do you extract that color? Because then this company took that extracted color. So anyone that had food allergies to your typical dyes that are used in food, because this is all natural, they're putting it in products like yogurts, power aids or power drinks, and a variety of products, and no one will react to the food coloring. You know, one of the biggest projects we worked with, or one of the oldest ones, was developing a cat litter out of wheat. And that may sound a little silly. What they did is they started using wheat that could not be used in the human food chain. We helped them develop a product that's called Sweet Scoop. And here's why I do what I do. So this company is up in Detroit Lakes. They use the equivalent of tens of thousands of acres of wheat that go into cat litter that cannot be used for human consumption or wheat byproducts. Where I get my satisfaction, or here's why I work at this job, it's fun to go into Target or Petco, PetSmart, and actually see these products on the shelf. And we also work with developing fertilizers. We do a lot of stuff with hops, and the list goes on. So when I talk about how every day is different, that's just a small example of why I enjoy this job, where the satisfaction comes. And the end result is helping a company develop a new product using an agricultural commodity to add value and become successful.